Good morning, everyone. KJ here. It's so good to be back. I have been so ill, y'all. I've been getting myself reinvigorated, a lot of rest. Uh, the bottom line is, I spent a lot of time in bed, and with the winter upon us and it's so cold outside, what does old KJ do to pass the time? I dip into a little of the court coverage here and there. I've left a few posts on the community wall, but I live by this, y'all. The Bass Pro Shops 2024 Fishing Master Catalog, okay? I've been going through it. I got a little silver pen that I just check it, just like I did when I was a little girl, with the Sears catalog. Oh my goodness, y'all. There's all kinds of things in this damn thing that make me just want to get out there and go fishing. But I know I gotta wait. Good morning, Donna Donald. Good morning, Tanya C. Good morning, Don Spencer and Kathy Barella. Thank you. That my mother made that quilt, and that's just one of the patchworks on it. It's called a wedding bouquet quilt. So I love that quilt, and she's made other quilts for me too. I've shared here and there a few throws with y'all over the years of my mother's work, her little stitching and everything. But anyway, I've been in bed. Every time I took some medicine, over-the-counter medicine, I'd start to feel better, but as soon as it would wear off, I'd get this big rebound effect. It would almost be worse, and it was almost like, yeah, you're taking the over-the-counter medicine, and it's making you feel better, but as soon as it wears off, it's worse than it was, and you're just prolonging it. Just get through it. So old KJ's been taking lots of hot showers and drinking lots of water and hydrating stuff, and I'm getting back to where I need to be. And I appreciate all of you that's been praying for me, who's said some nice things to me, and I've missed y'all. I've really missed y'all a lot. But I'm glad that we're back together again. It's on a Tuesday, right? I mean, usually it's Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays. But OKJ, whenever I get that urge that I've got to get there, I'm going to get there. Sam Willis says, good morning. So good to see you. I have to mod for E and can't stay. Wish I could. Well, there you go, Sam Will. Always working hard. I'm so glad that there are people out there willing to take their time and efforts and talents to help other people. So I missed you, and good morning, Chris Arnett. Y'all, we have been trying to kill some time to get geared up for Chad Daybell's case. And last night I came on a live stream and did some venting on things because, ultimately, when it comes to court officers or anybody else out here that's wanting to make a fast buck or a lot of money off a terrible, tragic case, it worries me. It does. And so my mind, it clicks along and does what it does. And y'all know a lot of times, KJ just talks about whatever I'm going to talk about. But I always really try to keep it focused in through application what we've been going over all this time. Kim Nix says, hi, KJ. I'm never awake this early. Damn you country folk, kill me. Well, it's 8:07 here. So, that's, to me, that's not early. Wayne gets up 4:30 every morning. He's out the door by 5 every day. Doesn't matter what's going on with him. It's his routine. 8 o'clock, I don't think that's early. But then again, right, we all have different time zones, and some of y'all come on the live stream. Some of y'all come back and rewatch it. OKJ, I just want y'all to know that coffee just isn't coffee without all of y'all. So we got Roxy right here is preparing dinner and listening to you. Well, there you go, Roxy. I mean, I just got through eating a chicken biscuit. Wayne usually comes every morning. He'll leave out. He meets a few of his workers. And then he comes back by the house. Usually, sometimes he gets busy in other areas. And he brings me a biscuit, whether it's a sausage biscuit, a chicken biscuit, something to that effect. He's always been so thoughtful. I didn't even ask him to do it. Years ago, he started doing it, and it's just become a routine. So I'm full of these country biscuits. This explains why I've got such a big belly, because I love the dang country biscuits. They're not Hardee's biscuits. Every now and then I'll get a treat of a Hardee's biscuit, but they're usually like a convenience store biscuit, but they're usually pretty soft and warm. And, you know, the chicken patty ain't exactly, you know, Chick-fil-A. It's not like, but it's good. You know, I slap a little, honey mustard on it, and it's good. And then the sausage biscuits, sometime I'll put a little grape jelly on it, depending on my mood. A lot of times, y'all, I don't even eat in the morning, but, you know, I get those biscuits and I enjoy them. Wayne loves KJ too. Lovebirds sitting in a tree. Kissing. First comes love, then comes marriage, then comes the baby in the baby carriage. Y'all remember that one? Yeah, we are two lovebirds. Both of us are sick right now. Not ill sick. We're just sick of not being able to get out on that boat. I fed the birds through all of the winter storm we had. There's no snow on the ground now. It's between 30s and 40s now, but it's going to dip back down. I'm going through this seasonal depression shit that always, it just happens to me every year. So, you know, I go through that and I try to stay focused on what I need to do around here, or, you know, if I've got to do some work on the computer for Wayne and our business or whatever, I just try to stay busy. But I would be lying to say that I get depressed, y'all. I don't like being indoors, but I don't like cold weather either. And there are times that I will dress appropriately and I'll go out for maybe 10 or 20 minutes, you know, just to get some fresh air out there and get out of being in here, because, you know, when you're in the middle of where you're at all the time, it's just a good thing to take a step out of it. Oh, right, Donna. We'll get the baby carriage at some point. Patience on your youngins. Yeah, Donna, one day, okay, Jay, if God's willing, I'm going to get grandkids. Maybe I won't. Who knows? All I know is I will share this. I can share this with y'all. Andrew and CJ are actively dating different, you know, they're out there. They're out in the field. I haven't really had a chance to meet any of these girls that they seem to be hooking up with and hanging out with. But that's okay. It's none of my business, right? I mean, if they want to come to me and talk to me about their, you know, situation, that's on, you know, that's something they can do. They know that I'll be glad to listen to them and not judge them in any way. So, good morning, Cindy Bullock. Anyway, so let's get warm in here. So I got to thinking about, you know, all of this stuff, you know, yesterday about this possibility that Alex Murdaugh was going to get a new trial, and the fact that this woman didn't stop to think about, you know, her responsibilities as a court officer. And just yesterday, even though it turned out okay, think about the time and money that was spent having this appellate hearing and all of this. Think about these news organizations having to get their crews there and all this live streaming and all of this stuff that, you know, didn't have to happen at all had she used better judgment. And then that took me to, okay, well, the latest news being that this Thursday, because I look at other cases because I'm like, okay, I need to go from here to here to here to get to where I want to go. And this Thursday, there's going to be a a hearing for Jody Hillebrand. There was a document filed by her attorney, Douglas Terry, that says, comes now the defendant by and through her attorney, Douglas D. Terry, who moves the court for an order allowing the preliminary injunction review hearing, now set for February 1st, to be held in camera. The grounds for this motion are that the defendant's financial matters should not be a matter of public record. And the first thing I thought is, why not? Why not? If Kevin Franke can come out here and it's been reported that they need to stop the sale of her $5 million home there because his kids need the money, and that his wife, Ruby, and Jody are responsible, and that the kids need the money, why can't they show us Jody Hillebrand's financials? Now, I'm getting somewhere. You'll see where I'm getting. Just bear with me. So, I got to thinking about things that, Kresha has talked about and others have talked about, in that, there should have been lawsuits filed on behalf of some of these people that were clients of Jody Hillebrand. And some of these lawsuits should have included, y'all. It's not an attack. It's just common sense judicially. That if a organization, i.e. the church or whatever, is paying someone and bad stuff happens to their client, you would think that the church would have a lawsuit. We don't know if any of these members have met behind closed doors with legal McConkey and all them back there, and maybe they've got some kind of hush-hush settlement going on. But the bottom line is that if this is held in camera, which means obviously that nobody's going to get to know what was said, no one's going to get to know what her financials were, where her money was coming from. And this whole thing, y'all, this whole thing about Jody Hillebrand, she was taken off the referral list after she got in that trouble a few years back. Does anyone really believe that the church was still not referring clients to this damn woman? So, to make a long story short on that, it basically comes down to, I believe, the public has a right. I mean, this woman, she was a counselor or whatever she was. Who in the hell can have a $5 million home on that? And the bottom line is that, she herself is going to have to pony up. Ruby, what's going to happen with Ruby? Is Ruby going to have to spend money to help her own children that she abused? No, Ruby's not going to have to hold the bag on that. Oh, Jody is. You see, this came all around, y'all, in that Jody recruited Ruby, and Ruby was willing, knew that Ruby had all these followers, and she wanted to start it on this connections crap. She wanted to brainwash some more people, get more money from them, knowing that these members of this church are not going to sue or anything because they don't want it to look like, that they are saying anything bad about the church or anything like that. Sam Willis says the church recommended her. She was an approved therapist. The church should be responsible not only for the children's therapy and the cost until they are made whole, but also even that which Ruby, which is exactly, I guess you should have said it, not me, saying that's exactly right. The bottom line is it's Thursday. I don't know how they're going to report on it if it's in camera, but we're not going to get to see how much money the church gave Jody to buy her $5 million home. And, hey, I think it's only right and fair that those children get any money from her because she abused them. But what's kind of rich about the whole thing is there's evidence that Kevin Franke or Frank or whatever, however you say the last name, he went along with Ruby and the way that she was back when they had 8 passengers, and he's acting like he's the only one that didn't abuse his kids. Well, I'll tell you what is parent abandonment, because he took off for a year and didn't have anything really to do with his own children. I know, y'all. I know that he thought he was doing what the therapist wanted him to do, but y'all know and I know. You know, this was his way out. It was his way of not having to face any of that. Hello, Roberta Senecal. Ramona Feisty said, yeah, Ramona says they're covering these two diabolical disordered women. Well, again, y'all, that's Thursday, and I'm not going to go into it much more other than to say that Jodi Hildebrandt needs her ass sued. And that Jodi Hildebrandt, eventually, when she leaves jail, prison, whatever, she is not going to be living in no high-dollar desert oasis anymore. And she's definitely not going to go back, I mean, unless there's some dumbass out here that wants to believe her in her stupid, you know, the way she views life, what truth and distortion crap. Again, this goes back to Utah letting everyone title themselves a life coach or this or that. I'm sure Jodi will try to go out again, just as it seems, y'all. Time and time again, when it comes to this particular religion, and I'm not attacking, but it's factual. It's like the members that are messed up, like Tim Ballard and Jodi and others, they prey off their own members. And it's really just, to me, opinion-wise, it really comes down to weak-minded people that don't really want to really think about what they're believing in and doing. So going from that, I got to thinking about this, and this is all going to crescendo, y'all, into what I want to talk about. But then I got to this point where I was thinking about Brian Laundrie, you know, and how the latest news is that he called his parents 20 freaking times when he wasn't used to calling them at all, staying on the phone with them, making the statement, she's gone and all this and that, and how his parents are in the middle of this lawsuit because they should have come forward to say that Gabby was already dead and how much emotional trauma that was. And I thought, I put myself in that position, which is hard to do. But again, if something happened to one of my kids and somebody else knew they were dead, y'all, maybe you just are understanding where this is going. Maybe you don't, but we're fixing to find out. The bottom line is that, you know, I believe that Brian Laundrie's parents should absolutely be held accountable for all of the trauma and hurt. Monetarily, they should just start ponying it up. But then we get to the case that we are now discussing now. And how many times, over and over again, have we all known? Y'all, we knew and we know now that Melanie Gibb and a few of the others, but let's just stick with Melanie Gibb, she absolutely knew Tylee was dead. She absolutely knew that JJ had been murdered as well. And yet she not only gets out of, I believe, because she spent days before she finally realized overnight with David Warwick trying to figure out their plan, a strategy, how to back their ass out of the trouble they were in. They were along for the ride. They loved it. They got damn orgasmic, thinking they were all this and that. They didn't give a shit about those kids. And really, if you back up, Melanie Gibb also knew that Charles Vallow had been murdered. And yet she is not only getting out of her part and won't spend any jail time, she is a state's witness in Idaho. And she'll probably, I don't know, I mean, are they going to call her and Lori's crap over there in Arizona? Because, y'all, these people have gotten out of going to jail. And yet, the same things that other people are being held accountable, legally speaking, in terms of monetary lawsuits, they're getting out of that as well. And it burns my biscuits. Because Melanie Gibb absolutely knew, and she could have done so much more. And there's no amount of armchair quarterbacking that's going to make this right. But I got to thinking, man, wrongful death lawsuits. People get murdered. People get murdered, and then the family files wrongful death lawsuits. Then you have the situation where Brian Laundrie's parents, they didn't murder anybody, but they knew that Gabby was dead. And Melanie Gibb is getting away with that. They got out of jail, but their judgment says they will be up to more mischief. I hope nobody dies, says Donna Donald. Well, again, Melanie Gibb, I really believe Audrey Bartario knew. I know David Warwick knew. I know Melanie Pulaski knew. And, you know, it'd be wrong for me to sit here and say that Kresha or her family should sue the shit out of them. Because I'm sure they just want justice for their family members. And they just want, you know, this to have some resolution. But it just goes back to, you know, like, for instance, the end of Lori's trial when she was convicted and sentenced. I mean, there was an amount of money, I believe, that was in that final judgment, and I don't have the number in front of me, where she had to pay something. And I just wonder if some of that money goes toward the victim's unit there or whatever. I think it was like, what, $62,000 or something like that? I think of another one to tap on to the civil suit, but I will name the name. I will not name the name. I understand, Donna. I think I know where you're going with that. But I guess it really does, common sense, come down to what is allowed in every state. Again, Jody Hillebrand is going to have to eat it. She's in Utah. Then you got the Laundries there that are going to have to, I think it's going to be successful. I myself think it's going to be successful. It hasn't completely paid out. There have been some settlement issue. There was a settlement, I think, for $3 million a while back. But now I think that Gabby's parents just want it to be out there. They want these parents to know the hurt and pain that they were given. And I also believe that if you want to change the subject, this Becky Hill sitting on the stand yesterday, I hope she squirmed. I hope her ass was puckering. I hope she was embarrassed, because nothing came of it. Alex Murdaugh didn't get a new trial, but at least she had to be in the public eye to deal with her wrong decisions of doing what she did. And this goes back to, you know, we all want justice for murder, murder victims. We don't want to see any of these evil, diabolical people get out of what they're doing. But there are people around the situation, y'all, namely this cult, Melanie Gibb and all of them. Y'all, it just seems like these people should be held legally liable for what they do, you know? And so, I don't know if down the road, these people will end up doing something that someone else will be able to knock them off their feet financially to really do it to it. I mean, let's just look at this in terms of like Zuzu there, Zulema. Before she really got into this cult, she was a professional hugger and all that. Wonder what she's doing now. Wonder if she's out here doing all this energy work crap and all of this stuff that could end up hurting other people. You know, when we've talked about like energy work and stuff, oh, this is supposed to help people. Melanie Gibb says, I've never done energy work, but I've had it done on me. These people, they do these things that, I mean, I don't know what energy work is. I just know it's some kind of thing they do and all that. Well, what if this causes problems with other people's mental states, and then their mental state goes out here and hurts somebody or something to that effect? Mary Seidler says if she doesn't lose her job, it's a travesty. She's talking about Miss Becky there. Nicole says the Bible warns of these practices. Well, it just seems to me that people in that belief system, in terms of energy work and all of this stuff, and all, what is it, Melanie Gibb calls, you let the funky stuff in or whatever. They pick and choose out of Holy Scripture, and then they go way in for every tiny little insinuation word in their dang Book of Mormon. And that's their business. Don't get me wrong, but the bottom line is there are people out here right now that are hurting other people. I do not understand energy work. I do not understand energy work. Is not a cult. Are you asking if it's a cult, or I don't know. I think it's some kind of, I think from what I've understood about it, there's more the women in that church that are going toward that because they don't have any administrative power within the church. It's male dominated, and so they're trying to find them a little nook where they can feel empowered and that they've got these volcano powers, or something having to do with pheromones, or the DNA and all this other stuff. They want to put on this role-playing crap. And hey, we all know what placebo effect is. That's a medical thing that can happen. People can take a sugar pill and think everything's just fine. They're getting better. Was it mind over matters type stuff? Well, these people, they just absolutely are willing it in their own self-will that they've got these special abilities and all of this. Just as Jody Hillebrand thought that she could, change people, and she only wanted to change people so that they would give her more money. Basically, it really was the bottom line. She wanted them, to where they wouldn't rely on their own thinking, that they would only rely on her. She wanted that to be something that, I got to go to Jody. She's got the answers. She's got the answers. Nicole says, I think it opens portals to evil. That was not supposed to be messing around with. Right. Again, y'all, if you looked at other cases and realized where they are in terms, and we're not talking about convictions for murder or whatever. We're talking about these lawsuits and things, and there are plenty of criminal cases that's happening too. The bottom line is that nobody is suing this cult for the pain and suffering. I mean, obviously we know there's a lot of pain and suffering. Is KJ sitting here this morning drinking coffee with you saying that the victim's family members should go out here and file lawsuits? That's their decision to make. If this was my family and this happened to my family, I don't give a shit if I was successful or not. I'd put their ass to the freaking wall publicly. And this whole thing about we don't want Jody Hillebrand's finances to be shown. Well, I guarantee you, there's more than one reason for that. They don't want to see the pipeline of the money that's been pumped into this crazy-ass woman. Donna Donald says, they might as well play Twister with oil and get the same results. Well, the bottom line is it was all, and it still is, it was, in terms of the Chad and Lori Daybell case, it all was a freaked-out, role-playing deal for them until they couldn't role-play no more. The jig was up. The fun was up. And then they had to back themselves out of it. I mean, look at Melanie Pulaski. She's in Lori's family, but none of them are going to do anything. It's the same thing with Alex Murdaugh's family. They still don't believe that he murdered his wife and son. They're all backing him, or at least that's what they're making people believe. Maybe deep down they know he did it. But the bottom line is that Lori's family, they're not going to, they're not going to sue anybody that's in their family. And, this goes exactly to y'all. This Jennifer Crumbley case, where they're trying to hold her and her husband responsible for not getting their son, Ethan Crumbley, who murdered those children in a school shooting. This goes to this whole idea of, the shooter should be held responsible, obviously, but if there's some kind of precedent that can be set up where the parents, this would be an excellent precedent, in my opinion, because then parents would be more responsible about, putting the guns away and all of that. This isn't about good or bad parenting, because they, to me, were not good parents. I think they just ignored him. But the bottom line is that, there's got to be more to it other than a person deciding they're going to go and shoot up a school or murder children or this or that. There are other people that antagonize this situation. And if that situation, regardless of where you are, y'all, on the gun debate, because, okay, Jay, hey, here's the bottom line. I grew up with guns. I've got guns in this room right now. I can put my hand up here right now and pull down a double-barrel shotgun, okay? I could do that, but I'm not going to. The bottom line is my children, they grew up around it. I'm not going to sit here and say that I had it all locked away and trigger things on them. No, it wasn't like that. But I will tell you this. As soon as my eldest son started behaving the way he was, I can look at you and I can tell you, Wayne and I had to take him to court legally to get his guns taken from him. We did that. We knew he was having problems and he was an adult. There was nothing we could do other than file a restraining order, which it's a domestic restraining order that automatically takes those guns out of the hands of people that are involved in the domestic stuff. So, were there red flags? Yes, and as soon as there were red flags, OKJ had to do what I had to do. I didn't want to do it, but I knew that it was the responsible thing to do. I knew, if for nothing else, to get those guns taken from him, that would at least make him safe. And then I have a responsibility, being in a community and a society, that I have to be careful. But I mean, I grew up with guns, and my kids grew up shooting guns and going hunting and all of that. And this whole situation, just what I'm trying to say is whether it's successful or not in terms of Jennifer Crumbley and her husband there, James Crumbley, whether that is a precedent that lets every freaking parent in Michigan know, hey, they got convicted of involuntary manslaughter. You better watch your ass and watch it with your weapons around children. If that is either successful or not, who's going to be suing? Who should be suing? These parents for negligence over the fact that their children were mowed down in that high school. Thank you, Mimi. Roxy says, I grew up with guns because we went hunting. The guns were always secured in a safe. Well, that's not how it's been. And I mean, I live in Tennessee, and I've never had an issue with any worried about any of that, because my kids, they grew up, they're adults now. They've never been in trouble. They've never, been to jail per se. I mean, Quinn got taken out of here, and we had to do this hearing where we had his guns taken from him. Y'all, it's a painful thing to share, but it also, the reason I share it is for a bigger point, and that is that it's one thing to be the perpetrator of a school shooter. I mean, a school shooting. It's one thing to murder children, Tammy, Charles, nearly murder Brandon Boudreaux and all that. But there are people also around the situation that knew that these things were happening. Obviously, y'all, in my view, Jennifer Crumbley and James Crumbley knew their son was having issues. Pure and simple. Just because they say, well, we could have never imagined something like this happening. Well, what is that? They get to live in denial? Or they get so busy with their freaking horses? Or they want to pretend, oh, he'll get through it? Or maybe perhaps they just don't freaking care about their son. And that's the excuse? Because it really comes down to what? Mens rea, what's going on in the mind? Should Jennifer Crumley and her husband had just a normal call? I mean, anybody and their mama sitting in a jury box would have said, well, man, I mean, regardless of what Jennifer and James thought, any common normal person would think, don't get this dude a 9mm. What's that supposed to make him feel better? When he's in the middle of saying there's demons and shit flying off the damn shelves? That's the last thing. The last thing that he needed was a gun. And I'll just go on to say this, y'all. I'm a big Second Amendment person. I believe in it. And the reason I believe in it is because I know the history of this country. And the country is if you're not careful, the government will absolutely enslave your ass. That's just my belief. You know, some people want to believe the government's there to help them, or the government's there to protect them. And maybe that's so, and maybe that's the way it's always been. But there's always, in the history of the United States of America, there's always been this authoritative, all over the world really, of these dictators and all of this stuff, the way that the government runs and all that, specifically on a federal level. And so I do. You know, it ain't just about, oh, KJ has guns because I like to go hunting. I do like to go hunting. But I eat everything I shoot. And the bottom line is that you've got to protect yourself. Because I'll tell you what, y'all. We've got law enforcement, okay? And they work their ass off and they do the best they know how to do. But I'll be damned. I'll be damned if someone's going to come into my home or try to hurt me or my husband or my children. I'm going to be packing. I'm going to be packing. It's just, and it would be the worst, awfulest thing that I could ever do. Even if somebody held up a knife to me and was fixing to damn kill my ass. It would be the worst thing that could ever happen to me if I had to shoot somebody. But I'd damn well do it. Is Crash on here? Oh, here you are. Been stressing out, y'all. Jason is literally leaving in the ambulance as I type. Are you serious? So worried about him, but I always go up there after they get him stable. I love y'all so much. Oh, my goodness, Cresha. Is he okay? What's going on? I mean, if you want to share, you don't have to. We'll be praying for him, and I'm praying for you. You've always had to be strong in these situations. Is he going to be okay? What's going on? Susan Honecker says, Cresha prayers, peace, care. Cindy Bullock says, praying for you and Jason, Cresha. Jojo says, oh my, Cresha. Mimi says, I got a concealed weapons permit and have had for over 25 years. Okay. Cresha, are you going to be okay? Is there anything that any of us can do other than pray? Is there anything you need? Let me know. The X-File says, we'll be praying for Jason and you, Cresha. Jojo says, prayers for Cresha and Jason. Tanya C is praying. Texas Lady's praying. Someone says, what do you do? What do I do? Well, my husband and I own a general contracting company. And that's what we do. OKJ's just an old country girl. I don't have any, I mean, I've been, just living out life just like you or anyone else. I have my opinions. I'm sure you have yours. There's no right or wrong answers on here. Someone says, in this stream. What do you do in this stream, says someone. Well, I just talk to the rays. That's all I do. That's pretty much all I do, someone. And thank you for asking that, because sometimes I have to remind myself, what the hell am I doing here, right? Ramona Fisley says, prayers for Cresha and Jason. Sandra Lavalle says, I am from Bristol, Tennessee. We had guns. Praying for you all. Savior, I'm from Tennessee in the United States. I don't know where you're from. Well, I'll tell you what, someone. The vibe, it's usually coming the opposite direction. I get the vibes from everybody else. If I'm giving out a bad vibe, excuse me, sorry. You might want to think about why you think I have a bad vibe or whatever. Or if it's a good one, way to go. Okay, now Kresha says he went to the hospital 2 times last week. 1 time right now. It's been a nightmare because every single day is so iffy and I don't know how to fix it. It's worrisome and scary. I can't help but worry. I'm okay. Well, we hope the best for Jason. We've all seen how strong and resilient he is. My heart is with you, Kresha. You know that. If you need to talk, you know where you can reach me. If you need anything, let me know. Kresha says, thanks for the love and prayers, y'all. You don't know how much that means to me. We're always going to be here for you, Kresha. One way or the other, we're going to be here for you. You and your family mean everything to us. We love y'all. We're thinking of you. We pray for you. OKJ prays for y'all every single day. Someone says, nah, I don't, but revealing your location on the internet is bad. Well, Tennessee's a really big state, okay? And so KJ could be tucked into some back road somewhere. And by the way, if somebody wants to come around me and come down onto my property or come in my area with any ill intent, they really need to turn around, because I'll tell you what, here in Tennessee, and I mean, I'm sure other areas of the country too, people don't put up with negativity. You know, I'll cut it off at the knees. But I understand what you're saying. Tennessee's a big state. I'm in here in the woods, away from the big cities. And, you know, if anybody can find me in Tennessee, they better hire a damn good private investigator, okay? My heart goes out to all of those who are caregivers, says Kresha. I know God doesn't give us more than we can handle, so here we are, whole ass right. Well, there you go, Kresha. We know how much you love and take care of Jason and your family. It's okay. Everything's going to be fine. But then again, you know and I know, Jason, he has been so good and taking care of you too. He loves you and has been there for you. Y'all both are even Steven. Y'all both have been there through thick and thin. Sandra Lavalle says, I hope the best for Jason, praying for him. God has both of you in his hands. Tennessee is long over Mississippi, Georgia, and Alabama. Not in that order, says Donna Donald. Tennessee, y'all, I'm going to tell you what. Tennessee, it's the most beautiful state in the country. I'm a little biased. But anyway, Kresha says amen to that. Jason's a good man. And if he's okay, I mean, I don't know what situation in terms of what he's doing right this minute. But I mean, I'm sure Wayne, once I tell him, he'll probably end up texting Jason later to ask him how he's doing. We don't want to pry too much, but we do love y'all. We do want to know how you're doing. Miss Carmen says, much love and prayers to you, Kresha. Roxy says, praying, Kresha. Nicole says, difficult research, praying. So, I don't know where I was going with all this. Y'all know Coffee with KJ is just what it is. All I want to say in a nutshell about this whole idea that, you know, these criminals and these murderers, they need to face the music and end up, you know, getting convicted and all this and that. We're talking about monetary lawsuits that have been filed in some of these high-profile cases. And it's just a damn shame that and I believe it should have happened, where Brian Laundrie's parents should have had to face the fact that they did what they did to these parents of Gabby, that I think that it should also apply to Melanie Gibb and the rest of them that absolutely knew. And these family members and law enforcement and all that were looking for these children when they knew damn well the situation. And in fact, not only did Melanie Gibb know, she bought time for that damn asshole and his hussy. She bought him some time. And the only way she could see herself getting herself out of it is do that recording, because she knew that if she recorded that, Lori and Chad were not going to say to her, Melanie Gibb, you know the kids are dead. Because then what would happen then? That would implicate Chad and Lori. So they were playing along with Melanie Gibb. They knew damn well. Cresha says it could be his esophagus again, or perhaps it could indicate a heart attack. I don't know. I'm not a medical professional. It hurts him in the same place, which could be either one. I hope it's his esophagus. Oh, Lord. This is really an emergency, isn't it, Cresha? Right, Donna Donald. It doesn't take someone with any kind of real common sense to understand, really, in the long run, what Melanie Pulaski, Melanie Gibb, Audrey Bartario, and others, David Warwick, they all knew. These weren't just, fears. Oh, worries and fears from Melanie Pulaski. She knew the deal. Mimi says, big prayers for Jason and your family. God is watching over Jason and y'all. Remember that I lean on him, to lean on him. Shardahan Madham, I can't say it. I'm an old country girl. But I say hello. My mom had numerous hospitalizations for heart attack when it was her esophagus, says Donna Donald. Well, let's just hope that everything turns out okay. Please, Cresha, will you please post on the your community wall and give us an update, please? We would appreciate it when you know. Jelly Colt, no, I do not know Japanese. Do you know country? Huh? I'll tell you, here's a way to learn country. All you have to do is learn one song and you've learned country, okay? You ready? You get a line, I get a pole, honey. You get a line, I get a pole, babe. You get a line, I get a pole. We'll go fishing in the crawdad hole, honey, baby mine. Now you learn that and you've got country, okay? Cresha wants everyone to know. I promise I'll let y'all know when I find out. So anyway, y'all, I love you. You have a great day. We'll get back together soon. Let's keep an eye on where things are going in terms of our understanding of what is ahead with Chad Daybell and these upcoming these pretrial hearings. My main language is English, Jellycoat, but I use a lot of y'alls. Y'all. Y'all this, y'all that. Instead of you, I use y'all. Love you, Sharon. Love you within reason. Vix Tech, Cindy Bullock, Roxy. I love all of y'all. Thanks for being here this morning and helping me get back on track a little bit, even though I don't think that I really resolved much about what we were talking about. What's most important now is let's all pray or have good thoughts for Jason. Let's keep an eye on Cresha's channel for her community wall, for updates. Cresha, if you need me for anything, you know all you have to do is ask. I love you all, and we'll get back together soon and keep on looking.